Dear children, welcome back to the English class. Today we can start with chapter 14. It is a poem. The name of the poem is Wind on the Hill. What's the name of the poem? Wind on the Hill. Written by A. Milne. Written by A. Milne. He was born in 1882 and lived up to 1956. Now, we can see what was his full name. His full name is Alan Alexander Milne. What was his full name? Alan Alexander Milne. He was a British author. His famous stories are Christopher Robin and his toy bear. His collection of children's poetry are When We Were Very Young. The other one is Now We Are Six. These are some of his famous collections of poetry. Now we can see something about the poem. So all of us, we like to admire the beauty of nature. When we see the nature or scenery, we sit there for some time and we just simply admire its beauty. Here, the poet also is doing the same. So we can see what is he doing. This poem is based on the narrator's experience of enjoying the beauty of the wind. That is, the poet is just admiring the beauty of winds. The wind is a unique phenomenon. We cannot see it, but we can see the consequences of its movements. Wind we cannot see, we can only see the consequences, that means the result of its movements. In this poem, the poet imagines himself to be a child. He is taking the position of a child, and a child is grappling, that means who is struggling with his understanding. That means he is not able to understand the direction of the winds. So that one he has put in the form of a poem. We can see what is the poem about. No one can tell me, nobody knows where the wind comes from, where the wind goes. So here the poet is saying that no one can tell him where the wind is coming from, or nobody knows where the wind is going. It's flying from somewhere as fast as it can. So the wind is flying, it's coming from somewhere and it is flying very fast as it can. I couldn't keep up with it. Keep up means to try to be in the same position. The poet who is imagining to be a child, just trying to keep the wind in one place, but he is not able to keep the wind in one place. Not if I run. And later the poet is just running behind the wind to keep the wind in one same place, to keep the wind in a single place or in the same position, but he couldn't do it. But if I stopped holding the string of my kites, that means the poet was having a kite with him with a long string. He was just holding the string of the kite. If he just leave loose that kite, what happens? We can see. It would blow with the wind for a day and a night. Blow, movement of wind. If he just stop holding, or if he just loosen the string of the kite, what happens to the kite? The kite just start moving to the direction of the wind for a day and a night. Throughout the day and throughout the night, the kite will be moving in the direction of the wind. That's what the poet is saying. And then when I found it, wherever it blew, I should know that the winds had been going there too. And then when I found it, wherever it blew. So later, the poet is just seeing that the kite is just flying in different directions. Then I should know that the wind had been going there too. Who is here I referred? I is referred to as the poet. Poet is only I. He just should imagine that when he sees the kite stopped somewhere, the wind has been blowing through that direction. Likewise, only we can identify where the wind is just blowing. We cannot imagine it may go through certain directions. So then, I could tell them where the wind goes. When the poet sees that his flight has been stopped in one place, he could say to others that certain or that particular wind has been going through this direction. But where the wind comes from, nobody knows. Here the poet is saying when he sees the kite stuck somewhere or stopped somewhere, he could say that the wind has been passing out or blowing through those directions. But nobody can tell him where the wind is coming from. One cannot see the winds but could feel the impact created by its movement. What the poet is saying, we cannot see the winds but we could only feel according to the movements. Through this poem, the poet is just saying that the poet just wants us to wonder about how the wind is, okay, and enjoy the beauty of nature of the wind. So let's also now enjoy the beauty of nature by admiring nature. Now we can learn the new words and their meanings. First one, blow, movement of winds. Blow means movement of winds. Next one, experience, event or situation that affects or influences someone. What's meant by experience? Event or situation that affects or influences someone. Next one, grappling, struggling. What's meant by grappling? Struggling. Next one, keep up, to try to be in the same position. Keep up, to try to be in the same position. Now we can move to the grammar session of this lesson, that is phrasal verbs. What's the grammar part of this chapter? Phrasal verbs. Please turn to page number 103. Please turn to page number 103. You might have heard the word already, verb. What's a verb? Action words or the action done by the subject. That's called as verb. Now we are going to study phrasal verbs. Okay, what is phrasal verbs? Phrasal verbs are combination of verbs with other words such as adverbs and prepositions. That means we have a verb. Along with that verb, when we add either adverb or a preposition, that one we call it as phrasal verb. Along with the verb, when we add adverb or preposition, that one we call it as phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs can imply a different meaning from the literal meaning. So phrasal verbs always got a different meaning. That means it doesn't have a direct meaning. Now I can give you an example. I called up my friend. So can you identify the phrasal verb in the given sentence? Verb, which is the verb? Called. Called is the verb. Up is a preposition added. So called up together, we call it as phrasal verb. So what's the meaning of called up? Phone call. Yes, I called my friend through the mobile phone or through the phone. That's the meaning. It is having a different meaning, that it doesn't give a direct meaning. That's called as phrasal verbs. One more example. The thief got away easily with his accomplice. Which is the phrasal verb given here? Got away. What's the meaning of it? Ran. Accomplice, what is meant by accomplice? Partner in crime, doing some criminal activity is the one who is a partner. Okay, the thief just ran away along with the partner. That's the meaning. It is having a different meaning. That's only called as phrasal verbs. Now, you can see few other phrasal verbs in page number 103. Please open your book and turn to page number 103. First one, you just see breakdown. Breakdown, you are using the word often. Breakdown. When a vehicle gets stopped somewhere, we just use the word breakdown. So what's meant by breakdown? Stopped working. What's meant by breakdown? Stopped working. So here there are few phrasal verbs. Now I will give you the meaning of it. You have to frame sentences of your own. That's the homework. Second one, pull down. What's meant by pull down? It's a phrasal verb. It's having a different meaning. Pull down means destroy. Pull down means destroy. Next, third one, put off. Put off means to delay or postpone something. That's the meaning of put off. Next one, let in. Let in. This word we use it often. Let in. To allow someone or something enter. What's meant by let in? To allow someone or something enter. Enter inside. Next one, pull up. To stop doing something. Pull up means to stop doing something. Sixth one, look out. Look out means search out. Look out means search out. Now, I have given the meaning for some phrasal verbs. Frame sentences of your own. I hope you understood the chapter. Read the poem several times and work out the exercises which is given in the textbook.